Hey, I want to welcome you to the Local Loop. The Local Loop is an online conversation with community leaders as they work through the difficulties of navigating the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, we have Celeste Savage, who is the CEO and Executive Director of HALO, Hope and Life Outreach. And I also have Bryan Moss with us, the lead pastor at Oak Ridge Church. The two Bryans got together, Bryan and Bryan, and we started thinking, how can we help our community? How can we help them stay informed? And we thought, hey, let's get on a Zoom call. And here we have started the Local Loop. And during these sessions, we're going to be asking questions of our local community leaders, like how is this affecting your organization? How is this affecting them personally? What should you know as a viewer, with these organizations? What's going on? What services are they providing? Also, how can the faith-based community help? As I said, today we have Celeste Savage, the Executive Director from HALO, Hope and Life Outreach. Many of you probably didn't know that's what that stood for. You rode by that sign and always wondered, but now you know. Celeste, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Bryan and Reverend Moss. Not used to that.
Thanks for carving the time out. I know that you're busy right now and there's an awful lot going on. So thank you so much for giving us a little bit of time and talk to us a little bit about HALO, a little bit of that background.
Well, I'll tell you, just right straight up, we got our beginnings, as you know, right in Oak Ridge Baptist Church. We started a ministry for the homeless in the church, and one of our big events that we had was Be Our Guest, and that's where the church opened its doors to allow the homeless to come in and stay. We set up cots, we had meals prepared, and it was just an amazing event. Little did I know, or probably any of us here know, that what it was going to turn into, and it continued to grow. We did HOTS, which was taking the meals to the street. And then in 2007, Bryan, you came to me and said, I think we better take this out into the community. So we opened our 501c3 organization, and we called it HALO. Obviously, if you can give a person hope, then you can give them life. And so that's what we did. And from there, we just continued to grow. And in doing that, we opened up a women's and children's shelter. We opened up a full commercial kitchen for serving our guests 3 meals a day. We opened up a men's shelter. We started a program called Journey of Hope, which is a life change program, and it's for men as well as for women. We opened a day facility, which we now call Resource and Respite. We have a full case manager on staff now that begins to help our guests move in a forward direction. And then we also have a youth and children's program, which we called Eagle Wings. So it is kind of busy around here when we don't have other things taking our attention away from it.
Wow. Thanks for kind of giving us a background on that, Celeste. I mean, you shared some things that I wasn't even, aware of. I think there's a tendency, and for us in our community, to think, man, that's a great organization. That's where those that are homeless go, and not realize all the things that you're doing. This isn't just a program where the homeless get a meal and get to sleep for the night. It's so much more than that, isn't it?
It is. It is 100%. And, we are a Christ-centered organization, so our top priority is sharing the gospel message of Jesus. So it's a challenge. It's rewarding. It has its frustrations, but let me tell you, when someone finds the Lord, and that's what it's all about.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you for doing that. You play such a vital part in our community. Why don't you tell us, how has HALO been affected by COVID-19, and then how are you navigating through that?
Well, I think with everybody, COVID-19 has definitely affected our lives. I'm pretty much of a positive person, so I look at the situation and go, okay, how can we turn this for good? One of the things that was interesting was we had our staff leadership meeting, and that was when the announcement was made out that we could only have 50, coming in. So that posed a little bit of a problem because we have our resource and respite center, and sometimes we have 30 to 50 that maybe come through there. The big problem was the cafe. And, we're serving anywhere between 80 to 110 per night, the meals. And so we decided, okay, this is how we're going to do this, and went through the process. We got up from that table, the conference table, and come on back into our different offices and get ready to send an email out. And that's when the governor came on and said 10.
Wow.
So needless to say, at that point, it was just move. And so we then turned everything around in the cafe. No more sit-down meals. We went to full carry-out meals. And so that was breakfast, lunch, and dinner in a carry-out, bagged meals. And then we still prepare the hot meals at night, but we just put them in to-go containers. So that was one of the things. The other was, making sure that we had enough sanitizer and that throughout the facility. Needless to say, before you could get to the store, it was all gone. So we just started making our own sanitizer. So we would have enough for everybody. And it was kind of neat because it allowed the guests to get involved as well. And so that was just, some of the little things, making sure coming in and out, they were using the sanitizer. They were not coughing all over the place. And it was kind of a different ball game, but we're making it pretty well.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty incredible. What I love about you is that spirit that says, you know what, the mission is central. The method, Andy Stanley used to say, you should date your methods, but marry the mission. And you marry the mission, and that means that no matter what is placed upon us in restrictions, both the church as well as what you're doing, we change the methods, because that doesn't change our mission. And so you're still delivering hope and life to so many of the homeless and those who are disadvantaged. And so thank you for continuing that mission.
Absolutely, this is what it's all about. So
what does the community need to know about the impact that this has had upon Halo?
Well, I think one of the things that's been very difficult for me has been that we can't accept any more guests into our shelter. And so that's very difficult. The other part of that is, again, the meal part. So we just started putting it out there. Hey, let's get together and get this meal going. And the city of Salisbury has jumped on board, and some others. And so they come by and pick up bagged lunches so they can take them out to the encampments. And I think from the impact side of it, for me, it's been amazing to watch community through here. It's seeing the community stepping up to the plate and doing what needs to be done. And again, I go from a more of a positive stance of what our mission and our call is. So in putting it in probably the nicest way I know how to put it, we have a captive audience. So it's kind of, I think I lost you?
No. I just wanted to prep folks to see.
I apologize for that. So, for me, it's so very important that our message, again, is able to get out. So we are streaming chapel services in. We are also, having different classes type things that are being streamed in. And we're still going forward with what we do, but it's just a little different way of doing it. So,
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, Bryan had the website up, your website, on how people can help during this time. What was that website, Celeste? Just so
haloministry.org.
haloministry.org.
Yep.
So if they go there, they can find out how they can help during COVID-19. Is that correct?
Right. First thing, right at the very beginning. In fact, it's kind of neat. If you look behind it, we even suggest very strongly what you do. Washing your hands, stay inside, do all that with the way it's shown right there. But yeah, if they go there, they're going to learn a little bit about what Halo's got going on during this period of time.
Celeste, when we talked the other day, if I understood you right, I think I heard you say that the thrift store is not open right now. What's going on with that, and how is that affecting you?
That's a huge impact on us. Obviously, the thrift store over on Snow Hill Road, we had to close it per the governor's request. We are following what the requests are that's coming down. So that had to close, and that is a huge portion of our financial support. When we expect that coming in on a daily basis so that we can pay the bills and keep the operation going, and then all of a sudden it's shut down. But in the meantime, with that, it's kind of been we've turned that kind of around to bringing our staff over. And where our numbers have decreased with the volunteers, which we fully understand, and we want, we wanted all of our volunteers to feel very comfortable. But they have stepped in and are doing a lot of the work that's here. And that just gives them an extra opportunity to not only hear the message, but also be a part of the ministry that is going on here. So it's been beneficial to us from that standpoint, but from a financial standpoint, it has put a serious strain on us.
Yeah,
so our church has done some shift and pivot, as you can imagine, as well as many others. And one of the things I challenged my folks this last Sunday is for us to, and so we usually go out in the community on a Peace One Day project,
right.
Servicing.
But you guys were coming to us on it.
We were going there. We were going to about 32 different locations across Delmarva, sending out over 1,000 folks serving on that one day. And I said, you know what? We can't go out and minister physically, but we certainly, many of us, can minister financially. And the truth is, there's only a certain section, somewhere around 15%, that have been affected and disrupted in their income in a severe way. Many folks have not seen that kind of disruption, at least what we've assessed and from our polling. And so I just challenge folks, if you've not been affected, you've not been impacted, the Bible says to whom much is given, much is required. So we need to be giving back to organizations that solely depend upon our gifts, and we need to love our neighbor and find people who are in distress and having financial difficulty. So one of the things we'll be doing is designating a portion of our Give One Day offering that will be going. A portion of that will go to Halo, as well as some of our other community partners, including the PRMC, Frontline Workers Fund, the local food banks here in town, as well as several other partners that we're continuing to develop in partnerships with. But we want you to know that we're behind you, certainly, and want to encourage folks to please give financially. They can give and donate right on your website. There's a button there that says donate. And if you've ever in your whole life considered the plight of those who are disadvantaged and those who are homeless, this is a tangible way. I get a lot of flack because I tell people, do not give money to that guy on the street. I get a lot of flack for that. And people say, what a heartless pastor would say that. And I tell them, don't do that, give to Halo. And the reason I say that is because Halo's making a difference in the lives of the homeless, because you're not just giving them a meal.
Nope.
If they were really getting a meal with that money. Hello, wake up, folks. What you're really doing is giving them a hand up, and that's what Halo does.
Right.
Halo is giving them a hands up. And you do that through the Journey of Hope. Talk for just a moment about how that process works.
Well, for our Journey of Hope, those guests that come in and they're really sick and tired of being sick and tired, we offer them this opportunity to come into Journey of Hope. It's 15 weeks of foundation classes, which are biblically based, but it deals with life, like anger management, but it's biblically based. And it's, how to get along with others, relationships, and that. And it begins to build, as we call the course, a foundation for living that Christian life and how to apply God's principles to their lives as they begin to move forward. And then once they are able to go through that phase, then the next phase is bringing them into what we consider to be our life living piece, which is like budgeting and how do you budget and how do you get an apartment? How do you become a good renter? What is the definition of, a good tenant? So it's just building upon each level so that by the time they finish in phase 4, they've secured their income. They've saved. They have to save $1,000 plus to graduate the program, and then they're able to move into a place of their own, whether it's an apartment or a small house or whatever, and then we have a full graduation for them at that point. So it's pretty well rounded, and I can tell you that when they graduate, our success rate is very high. We're at about an 89% success rate. So it's pretty neat. But I mean, let's face it, when they turn their life over to Christ and they begin to grow in his principles, they have something to hold on to. So that's why I think, the success rate is where it's at. But I also want to say, the church has been very supportive throughout the years that we've been in operation now for 13 years, and Oak Ridge has been very supportive across the board. And then what you're doing now, Bryan, I appreciate it. Both Bryans, I appreciate it, and appreciate what the church does.
We're excited to be behind you, be a part of what you're doing, and that's why I love Halo. I love the fact that you guys are genuinely making a difference and helping people to really turn their lives around. Real, sincere change. You said they got to save $1,000. I'm thinking of all the Financial Peace University graduates we've gone through. We tell them, they need an emergency fund. I'm telling you, 60% of them, they ain't got a dime in savings. and you're taking people off the street and getting them set up for success in life. Thank God for that. So as we close up, what's the best way that the faith community can respond to Halo at this time? Not just Oak Ridge, but what can the faith community do to respond?
Well, I think there's a few things. One of the top priorities that I have to ask is for all the churches to join together and pray. The staff is limited, and we have a mission, and it's an ideal situation, but we have to have strength. So the prayer is very important. We draw our strength from the Lord, and sorry about the light going off here, guys, but
you were once in darkness, now you're in light.
Yeah, now I'm in light. There you go.
People need to give money now.
Yes, the lights are out. I planned that, I pushed a little bit down. But if the churches would pray, that would be important. Obviously, the financial piece, but our numbers are growing with the meals. And if we can, if churches were willing to give us a call and bring in bagged meals or the items for the bagged meals, we can put it together. But we have seen it increase. We're doing about 260 meals a day now.
Wow.
And that's not just the homeless. That is also, some of the areas around our area are lower income, and they're coming over now because they're hungry. So any help that the churches can give, the faith-based community can give, would be greatly appreciated. They can call us. We'll give them some ideas.
Wow. Well, Celeste, hey, listen, thank you for taking a few minutes to share with us. And I love your heart. I love all of your staff and volunteers' heart. From a guy who was addicted to heroin for about 10 years, I probably wasn't many steps away from being at Halo. And it was people like you that helped me. And thank you for loving those that sometimes we forget about. We're grateful for you. Hey, if you're watching this, hey, support Halo. It's a great organization, and let's rally around them and help them out during this time. Celeste, we're praying for you. God bless. Thank you. Thank you, Pastor Bryan.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.